Okay, so in this video we're going to be talking about adding fractions. Adding fractions is something that's considered difficult in secondary maths. In our secondary maths education module, we are talking about how we would explain it to secondary school students. An easy example of adding fractions would be 1/2 plus 1/2. 1/2 plus 1/2, well, if we have two halves, we have a whole. So 1/2 plus 1/2 is 1. So that's like a very easy example. Perhaps the next most complicated one would be 1/3 plus 1/3. Well, how many thirds are there? Well, there are 2 thirds. And for example, if we had 1 over anything, let's say 17 plus 1 over 17, we're going to have 2 1 over 17s, so 2 over 17. So that's fairly straightforward. If the denominators are the same, the idea is you just add the numerators together. So let's have a look at a more complicated example, maybe 2 over 5 plus 3 over 5. Well, this is equal to 2 plus 3, that is 5, and we divide it by 5, and so 5 over 5, anything divided by itself is 1. But the reason why is, well, you have 5 things and you divide it among 5 people, each person has 1 thing. So what about if instead of 5 we did 6? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 over 6 plus 3 over 6. Okay, so we're going to first do it just by adding it. 2 plus 3, which is 5, and we just keep the 6. We have 2 6's, and then we add 3 6's. We're going to have 2 plus 3, which is 5 6's. But we notice also, well, the way it should be is you should be told how to simplify fractions before you're told how to add them. That's just how it should be taught. Because simplifying fractions is telling you when 2 fractions are equal. And knowing when 2 fractions are equal is more important than being able to add them. So this fraction can be simplified to 1/3. Why? So for 2 6's, so if you have 1, 2 out of 6, that's the same as having 1/3. And 3 6's, well, 3 out of 6 is a half, so this can be turned into a half. So what we're really doing is we're adding a third plus a half. We know the answer to that. It's going to be the same. It's going to be 5 over 6. But we see this is a bit complicated, right? We had 2 simple things, and then we've got something more complicated as the answer. So this is what happens when we add 2 different fractions. So you can kind of see by working backwards that the way you add fractions that have different denominators is you reverse the simplification process until they have the same denominator. But you might ask, how do we reverse the simplification process? And the way we do it is we try and find a common multiple of 3 and 2. So you might have learned common multiples before. So a common multiple is a number that is divisible by both 3 and 2. So in this case, a number that's divisible by both 3 and 2 is obviously 6. Another example would be 12. You can also do this with 12. But usually people pick the lowest one. So that would be 6. So let's actually have a look at a different example. Let's have a look at a more complicated example. We can still use maybe 2 to keep it simple. So we do 1/2 plus maybe 1/5. Okay, so it's very simple, similar to this. Okay, so now first we ask, what is the lowest common multiple of these 2 numbers? The lowest common multiple, I mean, you can guess, but the answer would be 10. Well, you can just multiply these 2 together and get 10. And 10 is divisible by 2, and 10 is divisible by 5 as well. So usually you can get the answer by multiplying them together. So we've got 10. So what do we do with the 10? Well, we multiply the top and bottom of this. So if we multiply the top and bottom of any fraction by the same amount, it keeps the fraction the same. So what we want to do is we want to multiply the top and bottom of this fraction by a number so the denominator becomes 10. So the thing you multiply by is 5. So that means we get 5 over 10. Right, plus, and we're going to do something similar to this one as well. We don't have to do the exact same thing, right? We're doing one at a different. We forget this one, and we do this one. And we're allowed to do that because this fraction is the same as this one. We haven't changed it. We just made it look different. And we can do the same thing over here. This time, we want the denominator to become 10. But what do we have to multiply the numerator and denominator by? We have to multiply it by 2, right? And so if we multiply the top by 2, we get 2. Multiply the bottom by 2, we get 10. And if we add these 2 together, we get 7 over 10. So really, adding fractions is not so hard. So let's have a look at a little bit more complicated example. So This time we're going to switch the 5 over here, and we're going to do 3 over 5, and we're going to add 1/3, like that. So, in fact, let's do 2/3. Now, again, we want to do the same process. We want to look at what is the least common multiple. And it doesn't have to be the least, any common multiple will be fine, of 5 and 3. The way we can do that is just multiply 5 and 3 together, get 15. That actually happens to be the least common multiple. And so we have the least common multiple, and now we forget this for a second, and we want to make the denominator equal to 15. Okay, so what do we multiply top and bottom by? Multiply by 3, so we get 9 over 15. Okay, now we look over here, we want to make the denominator 15, and so what do we multiply top and bottom by? 5. So that's 10 over 15. Alright, so now we can add them together because the denominators are the same. And so we get 19 over 15. Alright, so actually what you can do now is actually you can have a go at some problems yourself. Okay, so we can have a go at, like, let's do 2 over 7 plus 3 over 4. 9. Oh, 9's a bit high, isn't it? But fine, 9 over, it works the same, it doesn't matter. 9 over 2 plus 3 over 6. Let's do that. So you can simplify it, or you don't have to. If you simplify it, then it could be easier for you. And so, yeah, these are 2 problems that you could give it a go. Alright, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.